Hey everybody, KC here. So I was just reading a story that came from CNN about how AMC, the movie theater company, basically is saying it has substantial doubt about whether or not it's going to be able to stay in business. Now, part of this is that they had losses of more than $2 billion, billion with a B, over the first quarter because basically every movie theater they had to close down because of the coronavirus pandemic. And what they don't know, as the theaters even begin to reopen because governments allow them to do that, will people want to go back to the movies? I know that it's going to be a while before I go back to a movie theater, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who feel the same way. And, part of that is being worried about the pandemic. The other thing is, listen, we've all gotten used to the idea of Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Disney Plus, all these other services that provide us with an enormous amount of entertainment in our homes. So they simply don't know if they're going to be able to survive. And it was interesting. One of the things that happened was that AMC sent Universal, I think we had this story on Morning Newsbeat, sent Universal Pictures a letter that got a lot of play on social media. It's basically saying to them, because they had opened Trolls World Tour online and had indicated they were going to start opening more and more movies online and for streaming purposes as opposed to putting them in theaters, they were no longer going to carry any more Universal movies. And which is sort of right, they drew a line in the sand. We had a big debate about this around our kitchen table because my wife and daughter both thought, why are they poking the bear? Why are they being so confrontational with Universal? And while I actually think they should be less confrontational, my position was sort of like, well, you got to kind of understand where AMC is coming from, right? I mean, first of all, this is an existential threat to their existence. They're in a situation where they've got all these theaters and they've spent a lot of money over the last few years putting in great seats, better sound systems, digital projection systems, upgrading their bars, putting in even restaurants in some of them, and they've made all this investment. And by the way, movie theater companies have virtually no control over the product, right? If it's a crappy year for movies, nobody's going to go to a theater. It doesn't matter really how comfortable the seats are. But they made this investment, and now they're faced with the idea that the studios basically are saying, maybe we don't have to put the vast majority of our movies into theaters. We can stream them at home. We can provide them both ways. There's a lot of different ways to come at it. We don't have to follow traditional release patterns. And they're upset. They're worried. This could put them out of business. It could be that movie theaters, the vast majority of movie theaters, are only going to play, Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, the big event pictures, which people are not going to want to put necessarily into streaming right away. And it's a really interesting problem, it seems to me. They've done their best to kind of create for themselves, in terms of the place where they're showing the movies, a differential advantage with a better atmosphere, a better environment, and yet they're dependent on the product that they have in those theaters to be successful. And it seems to me there's a lesson here for a lot of retailers, right? And it seems to me that because they could find themselves in exactly the same situation, right? Stores could differentiate themselves by their environment, not just by their product, because they don't have as much control over the product as they'd like. But frankly, if I can order the same product from Amazon, and that puts them in a situation where they don't have as much control, which is the best reason, in my mind, to really focus on a strong private label, focus on a real strong fresh foods presentation, focus on the things that you can control that nobody else has. Something movie theaters can't do, because there was a case decades ago that said that studios could not own theaters. Theaters could not own studios, right? So that the government managed to separate them. And it may be actually time to relook at that decision based on where things are right now. Although I have no sense, not being a lawyer, whether that law makes sense anymore or not. But again, you look at the way it's working out with the movie theaters, look at the kind of problems that they're having, and it's a great argument for food retailers to do everything they can to to control the product that they have and have differentiated products and services that nobody else can match. Give people a reason to come into the store, and some of it has to be with stuff that nobody else can have. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.